So Hot Takes, the hottest sports betting podcast on the planet.
I'm Sean.
I'm Luke.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome back to Not So Hot Takes. Conference Championship Edition. Damn, we are there already, fellas. That
Crazy.
sucks, honestly.
It does suck.
Honest to God. One of the better seasons we've had in a long time.
It's the best season we've had ever.
Like as a podcast, because I would agree.
I would agree.
I'm talking about the best. This is the best, besides personally watching a national championship for my own team. But I'm talking like all around slates every weekend. Like even the slates where it's like, oh, this isn't that good of a weekend, and then crazy shit happens.
Those are the best weekends.
Those are the best, and so I mean, we're in.
Crazy weekend this week.
Yeah, we got obviously smaller slate this week, but the games are still electric. We still got some stuff to talk about. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna have some interesting conversations. We're gonna talk some playoff. We're gonna maybe rank a couple teams. We're gonna talk about the conference champions. We're gonna do a little bit of trivia, maybe a shorter one. If you love the trivia, it's gonna be a little bit shorter this week, just because we really want to dive into these games. But if you really do love the trivia, let us know, and I'll have 30 questions for each of them next week. Anyway, let's go right into the picks. I'll go first. I went 0-5. Woo!
Round of applause for you, boy.
Round of applause.
Should have parlayed his picks. Should have made a lot of money.
Faded the hell out of him, apparently. Real quick, I'll just go. Friday, Wisconsin -2 at home against Minnesota. They didn't give a shit. I thought they would. I thought the bowl game angle was there. They didn't care. They got their ass handed to them. Lost Paul Bunyan's axe. That's really all there is to it.
Paul Bunyan, man.
Is Luke Fickell going to get fired after 2 or 3 years? Because they lost their 80-year bowl game streak or whatever it was. It might not have been 80, but it was the longest in college football. They lost that. So Wisconsin going in the wrong direction. Next up, Kansas money line. Damn it, Sam! I told you to stay away from them. You just had to touch them this week, and you ruined everything. They got boat raced by Baylor.
Way to ruin my
It's completely your fault. It's your fault. So you have to be included in mine. That's all I'll say. I told you not to touch them.
Everybody. The entire public took them. That's not my fault.
It's your fault. Well, I kind of just take your picks as the public picks. So.
All right.
Just kidding. No.
Uh-huh.
It felt good. It moved. I got it at -110. It ended up at -130 or something. And then they got boat raced. So, you know what? That's fine. They made me some money this year. They earned one. Speaking of not earned one, UL Monroe late ad +10. I think I was 0-3 betting on them this year.
Yep.
They were down 7 with 1:30 left. Louisiana Lafayette is on the 45 of ULM. 4th and 9. A first down ends it, and they get a 43-yard touchdown run. No, we're not frozen. I just have nothing to say to that. That's really all there is to it. Moving on. West Virginia +3.5. Fuck this team, man. I can't get a grasp on this team. They got boat raced. This is the worst week of betting college football I've had. And not even beyond the podcast ever since I turned 21. I lost fair and square across the board, except that ULM game. That was the only fluky thing that happened. West Virginia was my dog of the week too. That didn't hit. Oh man. And then lastly, I know at least 2 of us had this pick. A&M +6. The lights were too bright. Texas was just the better team, man. The only way they scored was a pick 6 in the second half. No offensive points. They barely moved the ball at all. Lights were too bright. Happens. Oh well. Somebody tell me a winner. Just start with at least one winner so we can sound like we know what we're talking about.
I can run through it. I had a winning week this week. I went 4-3, barely snuck out wins or wins. South Carolina +2.5. You can leave the points at the door. Lenore Sellers is a monster. True freshman, just coming to trap, take over the trap. I love the video of the South Carolina fans that went onto the field after and were literally hitting their belts at half field and it was great. Love that for them. We'll go into the rankings a little bit on how that kind of walks into it. But Syracuse plus 10.5. Leave the fucking points at the door. The orange baby. Cam Ward is a fraud. Kyle McCord, man, it's so good seeing him get a win as Ohio State loses that game to Michigan, which we should definitely talk about.
I was gonna say we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it, but yeah, leave those points at the door. Missouri -3. That was a little bit of a sweater. Arkansas had a lead there for majority. I would say for all. They went into halftime. I think it was tied at half, and then but they were looking pretty good. It was a snow game in Missouri. But Missouri just was able to call that one out. A&M plus 5.5. We already touched on that. Cal plus 13.5. Probably my worst pick of the week. Final score of 38-6. Never doing that shit again. Vandy plus 10.5. Thought this was a lock at 17-0. I'm like, oh shit, it's happening.
Here we go again.
Up 27.5 points.
And then in a final score of 36-23, which I thought they could have covered there for a second. They had the ball at the end of the game, but I was like, it just wasn't gonna
Diego Pavia keeps beating Luke.
Yeah, that pick and this other pick were late ads on Twitter. If you follow the Twitter, I had Notre Dame -6.5, 2 back-to-back pick sixes over 99 yards and then 104 yards. I mean,
Great.
Can't ask for anything better as a Notre Dame better. But yeah, I ended up 4-3 at total. At the end of the week, I went 9-6. I don't know if Sean wants to say what his final between both.
I didn't go over, so I won a couple NFL bets. I'll leave it at that. I lost. So
Dog of the week, Luke.
Dog of the week was Nebraska on an absolute. They just can't beat Iowa. They can't do it. Dude, it's 10-0 in the fourth quarter, and it was like lose 13-10. I texted in the group chat. I texted the group chat like, I think this is definitely or something about the overtime, and then he kicked the field goal, but Nebraska called a timeout to try to ice him, and he smoked it. And I was like, oh shit! And I was like, yep, he's about to nail it. He didn't nail it. It edged in there, but it was. I mean, they just Nebraska. Nebraska is like they arguably should have won the Ohio State game. They are like 4 series away from being a 8-4 team. Like they're like a 9-3 team. Like they're on the cusp of being a really good ball club. They're just a few recruits away. Their defense doesn't look like terrible. Dylan Raiola definitely has some growing to do. He has the fundamentals as a quarterback. He just needs to grow into that and grow into that role. Being a true freshman going into the Big Ten, ACC, SEC, it's a step. Like it's a major challenge as an 18-year-old fresh out of high school. So there's a lot. He's got a high ceiling, man. He's gonna be good.
Nice. Well, I'll roll into mine. 2-2 on the week. Not terrible. Illinois, the Fighting Farmers. I know I burned the ship, but I built them a new one. -7.5. It was a joke if we thought Northwestern was going to be anywhere close in this game. Texas Tech -3.5. Absolute mega nuke lock. Kansas money line, like Sean said, he ruined that for me.
Sure.
He just completely jinxed my pick.
Sure.
Sharp money on that one, just shredded. Auburn plus, excuse me, Auburn plus 11.5 really upset me. I really thought they were going to keep it closer to Alabama because Alabama sucks. We'll talk about that too. But
if we could cook field goals, that would have covered. If we could kick any field goals, and we had any sort of a kicker, and not a kicker that came from a Division III Birmingham Southern that is no longer even a college and was picked out of the students, then we might have won that game, or might have at least kept it within 11.5. But
yeah, I agree. And then I kind of had a soft dog of the week. It was plus 110 with South Carolina. It was a win. I feel terrible about it still, but
no, that wasn't your dog of the week. We baited you out of it. It was A&M. It was A&M.
We changed this.
You
like plus
fraud
or something.
I thought I wrote it in South Carolina. Oh, then A&M.
You said Carolina. We said really plus 110. You were like, I'm going a big one.
That's right.
Give me A&M.
That's right.
And then they didn't score.
This wouldn't happen if you'd update your tracker the day after, like the rest.
Okay.
Oh, now we're projecting it on the pod. This is behind the scenes. Behind the scenes.
Sorry, I thought I would take. Okay, so I got swindled out of a dog of the week.
Congrats.
I changed it.
Congrats. Plus 110.
140, I think.
You've dogged on Weaver all year for his plus 120s, which was valid.
Which we let him have, and then I get taken out of South Carolina. But I put it in
plus
as a loss.
110.
Forgot about Texas A&M. Lights were too bright. I was happy watching South Carolina because I thought that was my dog of the week, but I guess we did switch it because I felt a little soft. So Texas A&M lost. They suck. That'll take us into. I really do like Texas, which will take us into what Sean's about to take us into. Go ahead.
Well, we're not going to get into the championships yet because we have to talk about, to me, the most mind-boggling college football game I've ever watched in the history of watching the sport. We don't usually do game recaps like this. We're usually just rip our picks and then rip through the slate. We got to talk about this because it honestly shook up everything that I knew about this year. Michigan walks into the shoe and takes Will Howard's lunch money and beats him 13-10. That's
3-score underdogs, the largest point deficit for any Ohio State-Michigan rivalry game in history.
like I don't get it. I've never watched a game. I was watching this game on my phone with Maddie, and I don't think I've ever said I can't believe this is happening so many times as I did watching that game. I don't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is happening. Because every time it was like, oh my God, wait, they might win. And then Mullings breaks that run where he's wrapped up in the backfield on what was it, 3rd and 7, and they were just trying to get in a field goal range, and he bounces it outside, and he breaks it for 20 yards, and I was like, oh my God,
they're gonna win.
They're gonna win this game. I am just in utter shock. The roster is so much better than Michigan. There's no reason. All you have to say, there's no way they should lose that game ever.
There's no reason they shouldn't get a first down in the fourth quarter.
It's just, I don't think.
Fun fact, actually, I saw the stat. Actually, I don't know if you guys saw the stat or not. Michigan hasn't punted in the fourth quarter since 2019.
In this game?
No, they have not punted in a single game in the fourth quarter since 2019.
Is that right?
Are you serious?
Yeah, swear to God.
Holy shit.
Okay.
Actually?
I did not see that.
Actually.
That's wild. Even with how terrible their offense has been this year? That makes no sense.
Turnovers, field goals in the fourth quarter since 2019.
Whew. Wow.
Well, last year made sense, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no points in the second half for Ohio State. Will Howard throws 2 diabolical interceptions. They go 3 and out multiple times. Their run game isn't really all that. It kind of didn't show up. I'm gonna pull up. I want to see the stats specifically, but
You're gonna run. You're gonna do the halfback dives on 3rd and 8 were insane to me. They ran the ball 17 times for 34 yards. They ran the ball 17 times up the middle for 34 yards, and one of those runs was for 17 yards.
yeah, 77 rushing yards. That's simply it's not good enough. 3 yards a carry. You're Ohio State. You built up this roster to probably one of the best rosters we've ever seen. One of the preseason on paper best rosters we've ever seen in college football history. Specifically to win a national championship and to win this game. That was probably, it might have been goal number 1. They said we play the season to win this game. And you come out and lay an absolute egg. I've never ever seen before.
The only good part of Michigan's team is their defensive line, and your idea in the game plan is let's run the ball.
Yeah,
up the middle. When you have an offensive line, that 1 isn't already good. 2 is banged up. You have the best wide receiver core in college football.
Yeah,
and you only target Egbuka and 1 time in the fourth quarter.
yeah,
and I was speechless. Allie and all of her friends came back after that game, and they went down to the bars, watched this game, and I said, "What happened?" And they all were just quiet. They were just like, "I can't believe we lost that game." And it's I think it's more funny. I saw a bunch of TikToks of Ohio State students that that are graduating this year. It's I never got to witness Ohio State beating
Jack Sawyer.
Yeah, dude. Okay, and about the on the field incidents, the only people that in my eyes should have been allowed to fight that fight was the defense. Anybody on offense should have walked off the field.
Yeah,
you're not allowed to fight in that fight. And the only person I felt bad for was Jack Sawyer. Him crying, grabbing the athletic trainer, being we're letting them plant the flag on the field, crying. And Ryan Day standing there with his
he's standing there like
face.
this.
Tail between
What
his
happened?
legs.
What happened? What happened?
What happened? And it's like, dude, he's the Nick Sirianni of college football. It's not a leader of men.
Whoa!
Apparently,
What are you taking a
What do you
shot at Nick for?
Oh, all of a sudden you're his biggest fan?
I'm not his
I'll be-
biggest
I'll be
fan, but I would
happy.
not compare Nick Sirianni to Ryan Day. I would not
Why
do
wouldn't
that.
you?
All right, we're
Why
not.
wouldn't you? You have great regular seasons, and then you just don't do shit after that.
That's
I
not
don't- I
true. He
mean,
went to a Super Bowl and playoffs every year since he's been coach.
Yeah, where he cried and he cried. Okay,
They
But
lost the
it's-
We're
Super
not
Bowl.
doing this. We're not.
Stop.
doing-
That's
we're
the
not-
worst take of all time. Ryan Day, I would compare him to Eberflus. He's ass.
But
Oh,
no, he's not that
okay.
bad.
Well, neither of
Yeah,
neither
I
of
know.
those are probably correct. So we'll just move on.
Yeah, so let's move on to the playoffs fight.
I do. I'm gonna sneak something in here. I didn't tell you guys,
Okay.
but we gotta have a quick conversation. I want to get your guys' opinion on the fad that's crossing the nation.
Oh yeah, here it is.
Galaxy Gas?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh.
We're not talking about whippets.
Yeah.
We're talking about flag planting
I love it.
everywhere across the nation. I think where Arizona State,
Texas.
Ohio State, Michigan, UNC, NC State. There were more.
Well, Texas was
There's a
dancing on
bunch more.
Texas A&M's logo after they left and went in the locker room. That's soft.
Yeah.
We got to talk about that.
What do we think?
Well, there's nothing to talk about. I love it. I think it's the best. It's rivalry week. It's the best. It originally flag planting started because one is Baker Mayfield
Yeah.
planting his flag at Ohio State,
Yeah.
but two, they do that after every time Texas and OU plays. They always plant the flag if whoever wins each other's thing. Like that's the tradition, and there's no fights. There's no anything. I don't think it's little. I think it's crazy that people expect college football players to act like NFL players.
Yeah.
You're asking 18 to 21, 20. Some of these guys are 23 and 24 because of whatever, but you're asking young adults / probably mentally still children on some level to act like grown adults. Like that's just not going to happen. It means so much more in college football and everything after the fight. I think if you're fighting because of it, you're soft. I think the Ohio State Michigan's a little bit different because it's a bigger rivalry matchup than most of these other games. I'd say almost all of them, and so it's a little bit different. And that was just like a 6-6 team walking in and like, but I think it's great. I think it's great for the sport. It gets eyes on the sport. It's college football is the best, and it's expected. If you don't want to do it, don't let them win. It's the same thing as we talk about with baseball. With like, if you don't want somebody to pimp a home run, don't let them hit a homer.
Yeah.
I would agree. And I also, my favorite tweet of the weekend was somebody tweeted out, "Holy shit, Ohio State's showing more fight in this after the game than the entire game." I mean, they cared more about the flag than scoring more than 10 points. Like you said, it was you or Sean. Why was the offense out there fighting? Like, it should be only the defense. I love the flag planting. Luke knows me, and so does Sean. We played. Like, let your nuts hang, dude. If you're doing something good, don't be a jackass, but you have every right to. Like in baseball, pitchers, they can do whatever they want. Trevor Bauer, sword, whatever. But when anybody pimped a homer off of him, he didn't hit the next guy because he knows how it is. He's encouraging people to watch the sport. But I love the flag planting. I love it. It's electric.
I bet Hawk's got some old head thing. I want to hear.
Well,
No, I don't. I
I-
completely agree with
Okay.
you. I think it's exact same. I think you hit the nail on the head. I completely agree. Expanding upon your point, that I'm expecting you to, or these kids to act like they're professional athletes or like grown adults. I think this might be a little bit of old head. I don't know if it's old head, but it's a little bit outside of the box. But I think it's a little bit of a microcosm about what's wrong with college football right now. I think that the steps are taking away from what's fun about college football. It's that these kids are just acting like idiots and care about and playing their asses off and doing dumb stuff because they love their school and they hate this other school. And instead we want them to just parade around and just play the football game and then walk off. It's like, that's not the whole point of college football. The whole point is to like see this theatrical stuff happen. Like, you see these teams that hate each other because they're supposed to. There's no other reason. They're just supposed to hate each other, so they hate each other. It's like, that's the fun part. That's the whole point. It's just to rile these kids up and to hate each other and to have that passion. So, like, passion is such a huge aspect of this sport. To, like, expect them to not have any is kind of bullshit to me. I don't know. I completely agree with what you said, Luke. That's kind of all there is to it. We're recording this on Tuesday night after the rankings have come out, so we have seen them. We've gathered a little bit of our thoughts, and a little bit different just because there's less games. I thought we could spend a little bit more time on this. I thought we could rank them ourselves. So me and Luke got around to doing it. Sam had a little less time, so he's going to be our moderator that calls us out if we sound like idiots or just.
Do you want to run over the current standings if people haven't seen them already?
Yeah, I can do that
Yeah,
quick.
go to current.
Yeah, let me
run the seeding. Run the seeding, not the AP. I have a picture of it right here. So
Oh yeah, you do it. You do it.
real quick. Okay, so first seed Oregon, second seed Texas, third seed SMU, fourth seed Boise State, fifth seed Penn State, sixth seed Notre Dame, seventh seed Georgia, eighth seed Ohio State, 9 seed Tennessee, 10 seed Indiana, 11 seed Alabama, 12 seed Arizona State.
First team out.
First team out, I believe, is Ole Miss, and I don't know what the second team.
I think it's South
is.
Carolina.
I didn't get.
Oh no, Miami's the first team out, and then it's Ole Miss.
Miami. Yeah, because AP ranking has South Carolina at 15, so they're the third team out.
All right, so how we're gonna do this is we're gonna run through seed by seed. We're each gonna say what we have, me and Luke, and this is based on what we think it should be right now, not based on how we think the games are gonna go this weekend, and then we're gonna talk about that after the games. But this is how we think it is, or how it should be right now.
Pre-game poll.
Yeah, so I'll start. We're going to start at number 1. I'm assuming we both have the same team. I have the Oregon Ducks.
I also have the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, so only undefeated team left.
Have to.
Playing in the Big Ten Championship. Got to be number 1. Number 2, I agree with the committee. I have the Texas Longhorns.
I also have the Texas Longhorns.
All right.
11-1 SEC team have to.
Yeah, has a chance to recover their only loss. Big win on the road against a rival. Yeah. So we'll go to number 3. I have my Penn State Nittany Lions.
Well, that would be still a 5 seed.
That doesn't.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I did the ranking. Sorry, this is my ranking. So it would be.
I didn't do the rankings. I did the seeding.
Okay, it's the same. It's the
Same
thing.
seeding. It would be same seeding.
Okay.
They'd be the first.
So it would. I had SMU as the 3rd seed. SMU.
Okay, I also have SMU as the 3rd seed.
Okay. Yeah. So ACC champion at this point. ACC is going to be the 3rd highest, unless. No, it might not be. It might not be.
It might not be. It
might not be.
Arizona State might jump all the way up there. If
Yeah.
Clemson ends up
Which is
taking them.
insane.
Shit would hit the fan. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
4 seed. Let me. Yeah, I have Boise.
State is what 4. I also have Boise.
I have Boise.
Has to be.
I have Boise. I have it really close though. I will say here's my thing. I have Boise ranked because I did the rankings as well. I have Boise State ranked 14th. I have Arizona State ranked 15th. So goes back and forth.
I can live with it.
So then I spoiled it for everyone. My 5 seed would be Penn State.
Penn State.
I also have Penn State as my 5
Okay.
seed.
I would agree.
Okay. So that we're agreeing with the committee at this point.
Right.
Next up,
This is where my stuff shakes up.
I still have Notre Dame as the 6th seed.
I have Georgia as a 6 seed.
Okay. Yeah, see, it's fair. It's fair. Notre Dame is so hard for me. It's so hard.
I think Notre Dame's legit. Don't get me wrong. I think Notre Dame is a lot. Notre Dame, typically, we run into this issue of like, they don't play anybody. But I think Notre Dame's a more legit team than they have been in a while. So the way it has it set up, I think that if it were to finalize today, I think they beat Bama with Bama in it. But we're going to continue with that. But I think they beat Bama if they were to play tomorrow.
The only thing I say is if Texas beats Georgia handily by at least 7 to 10 points, then you might be kicking out your 6th seed from playoffs altogether.
No. See, this is something I feel so passionate about. If they even drop a team that loses in their conference championship, the whole system's broken. The whole system's broken.
Okay.
I've seen people say that if Penn State loses the Big Ten championship game, they should drop below Ohio State.
No.
Explain to me how that makes any sense in the entire world.
We didn't lose to Michigan.
They're only going to draw it to head-to-head is what they're going to do.
Oh, I
They're
understand.
gonna say-
But you're telling me that Penn State drops below Ohio State because they were good enough to play in the Big Ten championship game and Ohio State wasn't. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
I guess it doesn't. It doesn't. Head to head doesn't make sense in that situation because Penn State has 2 losses, but the 2 losses come to Ohio State, who was number 2 at the time, and number 1 Oregon. And then you have a 2-loss Ohio State team who lost to number 1 Oregon, but then also lost to a 6-6 Michigan.
I think I don't see how you can drop anyone that loses in their conference championship game by even one ranking and it makes any sense.
Unless it's a Boise State or SMU.
I see it doesn't make sense though.
Okay, if UNLV comes out and beats Boise State, you're not dropping them.
You can't. How can you drop them below teams that weren't good enough to play in their conference championship?
SEC teams? You think Alabama?
That's why I don't think Boise State should be ranked above them in the first place. I think they should be placed at 14.
I agree.
It doesn't make any sense because you can't punish these teams for being good enough to make these games.
No,
and they both can't win the Big Ten championship or the SEC championship.
Right.
So to drop them even like if Notre Dame is obviously Notre Dame right now is 4 and Penn State is 3 in the rankings, which will put Penn State 5 and Notre Dame 6. If Penn State loses the Big Ten championship game and you put them below Notre Dame, you've lost the plot.
Yeah.
To me. And I know it sounds homerish, but I would say the same thing about any of the other teams. I would say the same thing about Georgia. I would say the same thing about SMU even.
Well, if Penn State were to beat Oregon, you just flip-flop.
Yeah, you can put them. You can take the team that beat them and put them above them if they were close, but you can't punish these teams for being good enough to make the conference championship.
Because there's teams like Indiana in here, Tennessee that can't make the bowl game, and they're an automatic bid just because they finished where they were.
They're trying to treat it like it's college basketball, and it doesn't work the same way. Because in college basketball, in these conference tournaments, everybody gets in, and so everybody gets the chance to make it to the end. And if you lose in the first round, you didn't do as well as these other teams. But if you lose in the first round of college football's Big Ten championship, it's one game. And all these other teams didn't get to play because they didn't earn it. Because they weren't good enough. Their resumes weren't good enough. So it's something like it doesn't make any sense. And I know I listened to the chairman talk about it. He's like, oh, we could do this, or we could take how they played in the conference championship game and weigh it. And it's like it blows my mind how they don't understand how backwards that concept is. Sorry. Very passionate about this. We'll keep going.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, but one question though. UNLV beats or SMU. Clemson beats SMU 35-7. You throw SMU out of there.
No, you can't. You can't. Clemson's already in. They're the automatic bid. You can't take SMU out. You simply can't do it. Clemson would get the automatic bid. They would be the ACC champion, so they get in.
That's what I'm saying.
So SMU, you can't throw them out. They're still in.
One of the 3-loss teams would get bounced.
Yeah.
I think Bama would get bounced at that point.
I can't believe they're in right now. That's my question.
We'll get there.
We're gonna go.
Okay, so you have Georgia as your 6th seed. I have Notre Dame. My 7th seed is Georgia.
My 7th seed's Notre Dame.
Okay, so it's not really a big deal.
Yeah.
Not really a big deal there. Go to the 8th seed, correct? 8th seed, I have Ohio State.
I have Tennessee.
See, I am so close with those two teams. I'm so close.
I flip flop. Tennessee has the better because the only real so Ohio State beat Penn State. Q1 win. Indiana, they donkey stomped Indiana based off their ranking, and I'm gonna talk about this in a second because I still have Indiana in my rankings, but I see Indiana as even though they were top 5 team, a Q2 win. You just have run into that issue. Again, I don't want to mix it because we're gonna get to it, but you can't take a 1-loss Big Ten team out regardless because it sets a bad precedent. But yeah, I think Tennessee has a better resume. Ideally, even though it doesn't make sense on paper. I also have a little bit of an SEC bias because I think that a 7-5 SEC team would probably come into the Big Ten and do a lot better than a mediocre Big Ten team. If that makes sense. I'm trying to think of just a run-of-the-mill Big Ten team, like a
Minnesota,
Nebraska, or like a Minnesota. Minnesota would get donkey stomped in the SEC. Let's be real, they would get boat raced in the SEC.
I would say
I don't know. I compare Minnesota pretty closely to Kentucky.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree.
Like a Nebraska or someone get boat raced in the SEC.
Yeah, but you're talking about 1 year. If you told me Wisconsin 2 years ago would get boat racing in the SEC, that was an elite caliber defense. I don't know.
Wisconsin sucks this year.
This
They
year,
suck.
but their defense has been caliber for 5+ years.
They sucked.
Michigan State boat race.
Well, Michigan State
it's
sucked.
just-
Yeah, Michigan
I
State.
know, but I'm saying
a couple years ago was.
I would take the SEC's bottom 6 teams over the Big Ten's bottom 6.
100%. 100.
Well, yeah, Purdue's like the worst team in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, but yeah, that's. I don't want to get too off track here.
Yeah.
So then, what is that? So then, I'm guessing we just flip flopped our 9 seeds.
Yeah. So I have Tennessee as 9. So
I have Ohio State as 9.
yeah.
This
Okay,
is where
that's
it might get
those
tricky.
two.
Where it
Those
might
two are
get-
so close for me. I went back and forth because I think you can compare. I would say like the losses are worse for Ohio State because
You
because
lost to Oregon, and then you lost to Michigan.
the Michigan game at home versus the Tennessee, both their losses are on the road.
Well, then you
The only
barely
thing you
beat
can
Penn State
argue
when
with
they
the
have a terrible
Michigan, the
game.
only thing you could argue with the Michigan game is what a lot of people are going to argue is that rivalry week is different. It's just different.
I know, but at the same time, it's at home. You got to win that game.
If you're gonna put everything on paper, you got to put everything on paper. A 6-6, 20
Yeah,
point underdog.
yes.
You got to put it on paper.
It's a worse loss than Arkansas, and it's at home. They have, I mean, Tennessee's best win is Bama, and then their second best win is who? It's nobody great.
Tennessee-
It's nobody great.
So let's.
I was looking earlier. I don't.
Yeah, let me pull it. Let me pull it up real quick.
I know Ohio State has the 2 best wins out of both of them. I think Penn State's a better win on the road, and I think Indiana is arguably a better win than Bama because, a little spoiler, that's how I have it ranked. So that's why I have Ohio State above Tennessee.
Yeah, I just out of that, it might also just be recency bias.
It's
but
so
at the same
close.
time-
Yeah, no, I get that. It's
Yeah.
so those two are the closest to
Dude,
me.
but Ohio State going into Neyland would be electric.
That would be
They would get. I think they're gonna get boat raced to Neyland. Like no joke, they're gonna get. They beat Bama, and they lost. They did lose to Missouri early in the season, and they lost to Texas by 3 points. No, I'm looking at Vanderbilt.
I was gonna say, what the hell?
I
Missouri.
clicked on, yeah, I clicked on.
They lost to Arkansas on the road, and they lost to Georgia on the road. They beat Bama at home, and they beat like NC State. That like nobody else really insane. Like they beat okay SEC teams, which is still good, obviously, but it's not
NC
like
State. Oklahoma at the time was ranked number 15 when they played it.
Yeah, but they're
it
dog
doesn't
shit.
Look all that great. Yeah, and they just manhandled the team. I mean, they beat Florida, lost to Georgia. Yeah, I mean, I think they're better than. But again, I think it's going to be a toss up when it goes on paper because you're also going to be asking a sophomore quarterback to be the stepping up. It's just really his freshman year. It's his first real year.
yeah,
at
and
the
he
helm, but-
he hasn't looked great anyway. But we'll move
Yeah.
on.
So, okay, so 10 seed.
10 seed. I have Indiana.
I also have Indiana.
Okay.
This is where it's going to get different.
See, that's also why I have Ohio State above Tennessee because I have Indiana ranked higher than Bama. So I think Ohio State beating Indiana and Penn State is a better win than Tennessee beating Bama. But it's
Right.
still it's so close. 11 seed, South Carolina.
I also have South
Yeah.
Carolina at the
Wow.
11
Yeah.
seed.
Yeah.
Here's why. Last year, the committee, again, it's a 4-team playoff. You only have 3 games you're allowed to play. They didn't put FSU in because they knew they'd probably get steamrolled because everybody was hurt on that team. And the year before that, they didn't want to risk it because of what happened with TCU. So what their deal was is we're not going to let the one of 3 games, 2 semifinal games and national championship game go to waste because it's national. You're going to have tens of millions of eyes on that game. You're going to have all the different sponsorships in the world on that game. It was a lot of money grab. Like, we're going to let the hot team get in, which was Bama, I think, with 2 losses last year because they won the SEC championship over Georgia. You can't tell me that same philosophy does not apply now. You cannot change that philosophy of we're not going to let the hot hand 3 team in. You're going to let you're saying that an Ole Miss who barely scraped out a game against Mississippi State at home, who lost to Florida and also lost to
Kentucky.
Kentucky. You're telling me that they rank higher than South Carolina? I would be less upset with. I'd probably be more inclined to leave Bama in, honestly, if South Carolina was like the first team out. But the fact that they're not, they're the hottest team in the SEC right now. I mean, again, hot being that they've caught fire, won 6 games in a row. They should be in. I'm not saying that they would beat, but Bama has them on the head-to-head. They're a different team than they were at that point. If you're going to let a 3-loss SEC team in, it's got to be South Carolina.
Yeah, and you also look at that head-to-head now. They beat South Carolina at home by 1 point.
And South Carolina only lost that LSU game. No Lenore Sellers. He got hurt. And they arguably got robbed by the refs.
Yes.
The worst that any team's gotten robbed all year.
Yes. This is not a 3-loss team that has lost a few handily games and, we have to put them behind Bama because they lost handily. They're playing better football than Alabama. Bama has a loss to Vanderbilt and a loss to Oklahoma by 21 points.
21.
Two teams that finished, 500 each? These are bad losses. Bama's best wins are South Carolina by 1 at home. So arguably you put that game in South Carolina wins that game. And then their other best wins are
and Georgia at home.
And Georgia at home, which they basically let slip out of their hands and they got saved by a miracle. So
and then they boat raced LSU at LSU, but it doesn't look that good anymore.
No, and you want to act like you're trying to put the best teams in. You're telling me you think that Alabama's a better team than South Carolina right now? I don't see it. I don't see it. The Lenore Sellers playing better football than Jalen Miller right now. Right. I don't think it's that much of a question. So that was.
They arguably should have lost to Auburn. They had 4 turnovers. If you would have told me that Auburn forced 4 turnovers and we had 3 through 2 picks and one was the last throw of the game was Peyton's throw and last pass, which is very fitting, and for a double pass when we were driving with ease, and when we had some momentum. So they should not. Yeah.
Well, you'll have your Auburn moment. We'll save it for the end.
Yeah.
All right. Well. It's a little maybe of a hot take, but we agree on it. Next, so that would be what?
Arizona State is the 12 seed.
So that was the 11 seed, correct?
That was the 11 seed.
Okay.
I have Arizona State as the 12 seed.
Okay. I had Bama as my next team out, then Miami, then Ole Miss. So that was how I ranked it for me.
Yeah. I had Bama. Yeah, I had Miami first team out, then I had Bama.
Yeah, they're very comparable to me. Bama has the better wins, but Miami has 1 less loss. It's tough.
It's what you were going to with them losing to Vandy and them getting boat raced by Oklahoma. They scored 3 points the entire game.
24-3 against Oklahoma is so bad. I don't know how you let in a team that. This is another big problem of mine for this 12-team playoff. Is that what did everyone say? Why is the 12-team playoff a good idea?
To get more, because they wanted to get more opportunity. One, because every other playoff for professional and in college basketball and stuff, in college baseball, you get the percentage is 20%. It's 20 to 25% of your teams get into a playoff. In college football, it was forever with the BCS, it was 0.02% of teams make it, and then when the college football playoff happened, it was 1%.
Yeah, but
so they expanded it to.
I think I know what you're saying.
To keep it short, why did they expand the playoff?
You watch hot teams get hot, dude.
It was to give more teams an opportunity.
Yeah.
It was we'll finally see other teams get in. Instead, we've expanded the stupid playoff, and what did it do? It just gave Bama more of a chance. That's all. It gave Bama more of a chance. It gave Clemson more of a chance when they don't deserve it. That's all that this thing has accomplished. It gave Ohio State more of a chance.
If Clemson gets in, I'm going to be so upset. If Clemson gets in, I'm going to be so
upset. It gave Ohio State. Ohio State doesn't deserve to play for the national championship. Georgia doesn't deserve to play for the national championship. Alabama definitely doesn't deserve to play for the national championship. But by expanding the stupid playoff, we've given them a second chance.
I did call it though. I said the year we're going to expand it to 12, Penn State's going to end up in the top 4.
And it sounds like sour grapes because of that for me, but yeah. It has nothing to do with Penn State being in the top 4. It has everything to do with this stupid concept.
Penn State's also loves James Franklin, but it gives James Franklin every year to compete. Instead of him being we never win the big game against Ohio State, it doesn't matter because if you win every other game, you're going to have a chance to play for the Natty.
Yeah, but that's the problem for me is that these teams don't do anything that they're supposed to do. They underperform.
It doesn't matter if they lose the big game.
They completely underperform. Ohio State should be undefeated. Let's be honest. With that roster, anything below, especially below 11-1, is underperforming, and it's a failure. But instead, they get a chance to save everything by winning a national championship when they don't deserve a shot in the first place. It blows my mind that people thought that, we'll get more teams to get a chance, like Baylor or something. I don't know who they thought was going to get in over these teams, but if you're not even going to put South Carolina in, what was the point of expanding the playoff?
Yeah, the only team that I would say it's cool to see is like SMU. SMU's, I mean, they're going to win there. Even if they didn't win, like, it's cool to see SMU's a team in play after, like, the death penalty, essentially, 20 years ago.
Do you think SMU's a better football team than the three teams that we talked about, Ohio State, Georgia, or Alabama?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And you've just given these other teams a chance, and they're probably more talented, but they didn't do their jobs, and that they still get this chance. It's
right, but the only part where it's worked out with, like, we're going to give other teams opportunity was giving, like, it gives SMU an opportunity. Like, Tennessee is an arguable team that, like, do they really deserve to, like, if we were to really shape it down to teams that deserve to be in it, do they really deserve to be in it? Indiana, again, only a one-loss team in the Big Ten, but, like, that's cool to see. Like, they're never relevant, and so
I understand.
there's gives and take with all of it. It's never going to please everybody, but but again, this is the best year to have the 12-team playoff so far because it's going to change. They're already talking about a 16-team next year. Like it's going to change, but it's never this is the best year because there's so much stuff that's going to happen. But I want to
If they
I don't want to harp on it for too long.
if they expand it again, I will blow a gasket, man. It's just, whew, it's maybe I'm in the minority here, but I guess maybe we should start talking games.
Please.
I don't know. Maybe we'll go into the games.
Please.
Let's dive in. Conference championship. We yapped for a while. Let's dive in. Friday. I believe it's on Friday. Yeah, Friday at 8. We're gonna start there. Basically a playing game. Basically a college football playoff game already. UNLV, I believe, has to go to Boise State. I believe it's on the blue turf, facing the Boise State Broncos. Boise State's -4. Boise State and Ashton Genty, 4-point favorites. What do we think? What are we thinking?
I got a bet in this game.
So do I.
Let me know. I have kind of a bet, and I'll talk about it after.
I have UNLV plus 3.5. UNLV covered this number already in their last matchup early in the season, and they've done nothing but stomp opponents since that game. They've just mollywopped everybody that's been in their path. Boise State seemed to slow up a little bit. It seems kind of like stop Genty, and you have a chance. Like if you're able to stop the run, there's really not many weapons to open up on the outside for Boise State. And UNLV's defense is really good. They're led by Jackson Woodard, who's a really good linebacker for them. He might be Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year. Shout out to Jackson Woodard, Little Rock Christian alumni. Their defense is really good, and I think that their front seven is going to be able to give him some problems, and they showed to give him at least a little bit of problems in the UNLV game. So I wouldn't sleep on them. 3.5. I know it's 4 points. Seems kind of like too much. I think this is where that Boise State's gonna run into some problems. They're gonna have to be able to get around Genty to figure it out.
Yeah, I agree with you, Luke. I really like what you're saying. That's why I took the over 58. UNLV.
That's so many points.
It's not. UNLV has been scoring a lot of points. Boise State just let up what? What did we watch them let up? 29 or 30 points to Wyoming?
Something like that.
A lot of points to Wyoming. They beat them, but Boise State has the capacity to score a lot of points. And UNLV is showing that they can too. And, Wyoming is bottom 20, 30 team in college football. They're awful. I forgot they were at.
They gave up 17 to Wyoming. It was 17-13 was the final score. They gave up 18. They gave up 13 points to Wyoming, 18 to Oregon State, 21 to San Jose State, 21 to Nevada, 24 to San Diego State, 24 to UNLV, 7 to Hawaii, 30 to Utah State, 24 to Washington State, 14 to Portland State. They lost to Oregon by 3 points, so they gave up 37. And then they gave up 45 to Georgia Southern. But again, that was first game of the season.
Wild schedule.
That is. I don't even know who built that schedule. The
only teams they boat raced were Oregon State, San Jose State. They kept within 7 points of Nevada. Boat race San Diego State. Beating Hawaii by 21. I don't know if I'd call it a boat race against a Hawaii team. In Utah State, like what the fuck? And then Washington State and Portland State. Like what are we doing?
My case still
They're gonna
stands.
struggle.
I'm taking over 58. I think this game is going to be absolutely electric.
I got a dilemma that I need an answer from you fellas. I have a bet in this game. My only problem was that I placed it in August. I had Boise State to win the Mountain West in August at minus 120. Here we are. What is that? That would be August is 8, so we're 4 months later. And the bet's still live.
Well, that's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Does that count for me?
I would put in the money line, Harper. You're pretty
I'd
much
put it,
getting Boise
yeah.
State money line for minus 120.
Yes.
You called that shit. I would put that in. 100%.
Yeah, I would just say I just
Okay.
put it in.
All right. Well, then I am on Boise State money line at minus 120.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Everyone tail.
It's only minus 185 now.
Yeah, I know. It's not like the craziest thing in the world. And honestly, I kind of lean UNLV to cover this spread. I don't know if they're going to win, but I do kind of lean them to cover this spread because I think they can run the ball a little bit. They love running the ball. I think they run the ball in like 62% of their snaps. But I still think that Boise's the more talented team, and Genty's unbelievable. So I will just be riding that. No hedge from me. I'm just riding that out.
You could mega hedge that.
I could, but I didn't put enough on it to where it's like valuable
Hedgeable.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyways,
what's next? Let me go back to my list. The Big 12. The Big 12. This is an interesting game. Obviously, they're all playing games at this point. But this one is for the single bid that the Big 12 will get in this tournament. No one else is getting in. Whoever wins this game is getting in. Arizona State, I believe, 2.5-point favorites on a neutral field.
2 point.
Oh, it's down to 2 because it was definitely 2.5 today. One of the hotter teams in the country just beat Arizona by 8,000. And then they put their spear in the middle of their field, and one guy tried to fight them. It was one of the lamer fights of the weekend, but it still counts. Anyone have a pick in this game? I do not right now.
I do. Luke, you do?
Go ahead, Sam.
I took Arizona State -2, and I'll tell you why. Scatabo,
He's nasty.
Dude, he's been so under the radar this year. I wrote down a couple stats here. 247 carries, 1,398 yards, 17 touchdowns, 5.7 average yards per carry. Against top 25 teams, that doesn't really change. 5 yards per carry, 5 TDs on only 75 attempts. He's a white Genty. He's a white Genty. This guy is they're yin and yang, Genty and Scatabo. Arizona State can really run the ball, and they showed that. I think Scatabo is going to run all over Iowa State. I think -2 is just clear and cut. I took him.
Yeah, I also took them -2. I think Iowa State's just super overrated. I think that they're gonna keep riding the hot hand. I mean, they're the team of destiny right now. It seems like picked to finish last in the Big 12 this year, just turning the entire program around. And I don't think that train's gonna stop. And I don't think they're gonna let themselves slow down here. Iowa State's, fighting to get their way in, but I think that's going to stop.
Oh, fellas, I am in a dilemma.
What does the tracker say?
I have been staring at Arizona State -2.5. My tracker spit out Arizona State -10. The college football one is not as perfected as the NFL one is definitely more effective.
You know what's crazy? As Luke was talking, I was about to say I would be comfortable, like actually taking an alternate spread and taking them like -5.5.
The college football tracker or the college football model is not as perfect. It's a lot more exaggeratory, but do I make it a threesome, fellas? I think I might make it a threesome. I do apologize.
There's no way that Iowa State wins this game.
Don't say
there
that.
is just no way.
Because if you're betting on the +2, you're betting on them to win.
Look,
at that point, you take the money line.
Yeah.
Iowa State, their run D is not great. Arizona State wants to run the ball with Scatabo. They run the ball like 65% of their snaps.
What's their resume? Let me look at this because this is bugging me.
They haven't beat anyone.
Like
who? Iowa State?
Yeah.
They beat Iowa and they beat Kansas State. They haven't really beat anyone. And they lost to Texas Tech on the road and Kansas on the road when Kansas was the hottest team in football until you ruined it. Soiled it. I'm seeing it right here for -1.5. I'm putting it in.
All right, so Iowa State beat Kansas State,
I'm
Utah, Cincinnati, lost to Kansas, lost to Texas Tech, beat UCF, congratulations, beat West Virginia, congratulations, beat Baylor.
Don't talk bad about UCF. They were my darlings that sucked.
beat Houston, whatever the hell AR State is, Arkansas State.
Whoa!
Arkansas State.
Shitty ass.
The
team.
Red Wolves.
The Red Wolves.
Beat Iowa, beat North Dakota.
Shout out Michael Dyer.
Yeah, I mean, they're fraudulent.
Yeah, I know, but Arizona State did lose to Cincinnati and Texas Tech. But
Arizona State is good.
they're one of the hotter teams in football. They want to run the ball. I made it a threesome. Shout out the threesome. We're gonna win. We're gonna win a second one of these days.
2-7. Proof.
It has to happen. But there you go. There's a threesome. That's why you tune in, folks, to get this stuff. The big boys are really up next. But before that, we have a shortened trivia.
Ooh,
it's trivia hour. All right, we're doing it a little differently this week, just to try to get through it a little quicker. I have one trivia question for each of you. I have 2 players from your college who you're going to tell me what NFL team drafted them.
Okay.
And then I have 1 player on your NFL roster. You're going to tell me what school they went to. Who wants their trivia question first?
Me.
Samuel Spadea.
Shit, this is definitely going to be a lot harder.
Samuel.
No.
Both these guys are going to be from Auburn.
They are from Auburn.
Sam, yours is a little easier this week because you suck.
Thanks.
All right. The 2016 Big Ten Championship is a top moment in recent Penn State history. We've talked about some of the bigger plays in the game in a previous question. But who took home the MVP of that game for the Nittany Lion?
Big Ten Championship?
The Big Ten
Because I know we
Championship.
talked about Blacknall having those 2 crazy catches. There's no way they gave that moron MVP. They did.
I'm not telling you.
It sounds like I don't want to say against Barkley because I feel like Barkley's. Just give me Blacknall.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Incorrect.
Is it Barkley?
It's a trick question, kind of, because it's the obvious answer.
Saquon Barkley.
It's Trace McSorley.
Oh, McSorley.
You give it to the quarterback. You give it to the
That
quarterback.
is a trick question.
It's kind of a trick because it's it's easier than you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Because you don't remember him being incredible, but he threw for a lot of yards and he ran for a lot of yards. Because Barkley had that ankle injury. Barkley had the ankle injury, so he wasn't as explosive as he usually is. So I think Trace ran for a decent amount of yards. He threw the 3 touchdowns for 4 touchdowns. Trace McSorley. Shout out to Trace McSorley. Throwing on a dime like I ain't even trying. Just a kid from Briarwood. I'm wearing number 9. He is
Where is he?
Arizona, I want to
Third
say.
string?
I think so.
Poor guy, dude. I thought
Put
he'd
Franklin
actually get
down
a
at
chance.
Vandy. Flip to Happy Valley. You know the song.
I know the song.
Come
I'm
on
not
now.
gonna sing
That's
it.
a banger, man.
Whoa.
Come on.
Dude,
Have
great
some
song, but it's
respect.
corny.
Man, you
I
don't even know.
love Trace.
You didn't even know he won the Big Ten Championship MVP.
Dude, I was between those 3 players. It was a trick question, like you said.
You're a fraud.
All right.
Luke,
Yes.
I'll just read the question.
Yeah. I'm sure
Since the SEC Championship began in 1992, the Auburn Tigers have won how many? That's not the question, but
Oh. 2013, 2010. Want to say there was one in 2000 when we went undefeated. 3?
correct. They have won the game 3 times. While you may know the years they won, which you kind of did. Who won the MVP of those games?
2010 was Cam Newton.
We're down to Alabama.
2013 actually might be Trey Mason. But if not, it's Nick Marshall. But I think it was Trey Mason. And then 2010, I guess Jason, or whatever, not 2010, it was 2000 or 2001. I don't know who's on that team. It wasn't Cadillac Williams. It might have been.
Former interim coach.
Yeah, shout out. Great recruiter.
2-2 in his interim time. I saw it today when I was looking it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I'm going to go Cadillac Williams for that 2000 2001 team. And then Trey Mason in 2013 and Cam Newton in 2010.
Final answer?
Yeah.
66%. Trey Mason was correct.
Yeah.
Cam Newton was correct. The final answer,
Was it Jason
it was Jason Campbell. It was Jason Campbell. Not bad. I think you get a golf clap for that. Good effort.
Because Nick Marshall was like, he never was like that good in any games. Like he was like, all right.
No, he was a
We ran the
glorified
spread
like
offense. We ran the spread offense to a T. Like you want the perfect picture of the spread offense.
Here we go.
Watch that entire 2013 Auburn season. Like it's proofs in the pudding.
he was a cog in the machine, but he was the perfect cog in the machine.
He was perfect.
That Cam Newton went. He was down 21 in Tuscaloosa, wasn't he?
The comeback.
Down 20. He was down 20, 27
Yeah.
in Tuscaloosa. 24.
Yeah.
He's down 24 in Tuscaloosa.
The comeback.
And at halftime. The comeback 2010.
All right. So I got 2 players from Penn State. You're going to tell me where they got drafted. We're doing a little inverse of what we usually do here.
All right.
Easier one to start.
Okay.
Where did Sean Clifford get drafted?
Sean Clifford?
Yes.
He got drafted?
Come on, man. We were all the happiest guys in the room when he got drafted.
My God,
Right.
I do not remember. He was terrible.
Don't
I
disrespect
hate-
my quarterback.
Your quarterback? No.
My TA. My TA.
We're going to talk about this.
My
He was
TA.
Sean's TA, and I have proof in text messages that Sean literally goes, just walk past Sean Clifford standing outside of his class like he doesn't give a fuck that we just lost this game. I'm going to punch him in the face.
Okay, yes,
Word
that's
for
valid.
word.
That's valid. I did also have text that I was going to hunt down an unnamed player and strangle him on campus. I won't say the name because I definitely wouldn't have done it, but I am taller than him, so maybe I had a shot.
You know, no matter what loss he had, he got laid no matter what.
Yeah, he did.
I don't give a fuck.
That's all Luke cares about. But Sean Clifford, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a struggling team then. It wasn't the Jets.
Final answer?
It would have been a struggling team.
Yeah, incorrect.
Who?
That would be the Green Bay Packers. He was Jordan Love's backup for the last 2 years until they cut him this year.
Why did I not know that?
They gave him the Kutski.
Dude, I seriously did not think he got drafted. He was ass.
Luke,
Yes.
I'll give you your easier one first. I gave him a former quarterback. I'll give you a former quarterback. Who drafted Jared Stidham?
The Patriots.
Correct.
Yeah,
Back up to Tom Brady. He was supposed to be the next hope, and New England. He never even really got a shot there, and then he got demoted to third string in Denver this year, which I think is kind of crazy.
Yeah, he was decent for Denver when he played.
He's had some good games. Like he hasn't played bad. I don't ever think. He's just a career backup. Led Auburn to the top 10 team twice, and was played in
Bama.
2 SEC championship games. Yeah, I beat Bama.
All right. Well, Sam,
here we go.
I gave you a good player here. Really good player. Good NFL player.
Mm-hmm.
Falling off a little bit, but he was good. Really good Nittany line. Who drafted Allen Robinson? Excellent player. Excellent player. Could high point the football like no other.
He was good, but then he's fallen off in the end.
I think I know this answer.
Chicago Bears, final answer.
Incorrect. That was his second team. No, it was Luke.
I don't know. I thought it was the Bears.
Oh, no, that was his second team. He got drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I thought it was the Bears. I was so confident, too.
Sam, a clean 0 for 3 so far.
All right, Dick, go ahead.
Luke Weaver.
Yes.
This is I don't know. This is either going to be really easy or pretty hard. This is just from last year. The first player drafted by Auburn last year in the 5th round. Who drafted Nehemiah Pritchett?
He was a monster.
He was.
In Auburn. He
was.
was on a bad team.
I think he was a 5th rounder. I'm like 90% sure.
I don't remember.
Don't look it up.
I'm not.
What round was it?
Did he get drafted by the Jets?
Final answer?
Sure.
Incorrect.
Seattle.
You just looked it up.
Yeah, I
You
did.
jackass.
I looked at it. I was like,
Seattle
"You're kidding me."
Seahawks. That one was tough. That one was supposed to be
Dude,
tough.
He was a monster, but he was
136
one of our
overall.
lesser.
Yeah, he was the first player drafted from that Auburn team last year.
We didn't have any good players last year. I'm telling you, we were.
Besides,
behind.
I guess Bo Nix, but like he doesn't. All right. Now I have one player from each of your rosters. Sam. God, breakout star, man. He is hooping for the Philadelphia Eagles. But where'd he go to school?
Who?
I'm talking about Zach Bond.
Oh, I just saw it. You gotta be kidding me.
Come on, man. You got to get one.
Memphis, final answer.
Final. Incorrect.
What?
Memphis.
He was a Big Ten boy.
Wisconsin Badgers.
The Wisconsin
Yeah.
Badgers.
Fucking knew it, dude. I don't know why I said Memphis.
Memphis.
Well, half our defense is from fucking Memphis.
Who?
Or Georgia.
Is anyone from Memphis? I know Kenneth Gainwell's from Memphis.
I don't fucking know. I knew it was Wisconsin. I don't know why I said Memphis.
Well, Sam, a clean 0 for 4 on the day.
Fuck off, dude. Just read the questions. It's late.
Luke,
Yes, sir.
God, he's known. He's known for his picture-taking skills. Maybe not his quarterback play. Where did Jake Hayner go to school? Backup quarterback. Got busted.
I thought Ian Buck, who went to Notre Dame, but that's not right.
God, Ian Book. He was so mid.
I know. Jake Hayner.
Jake Hayner.
Jake Hayner.
Took those funny photos and then
I
he
think it
got
was a big.
busted for
I think it
PEDs.
was a Big Ten school.
Busted for PEDs. That's crazy.
Busted for PEDs does sound like a Big Ten school because they don't care if SEC guys use PEDs.
No,
That's
this
why
was
they're
after.
so much better.
It was after.
Did he go to You go to Iowa?
Final answer?
Sure.
Incorrect. Kind of a trick question. He went to the same school as your starting quarterback.
No.
He was a Fresno State Bulldog.
I would never.
Kind of crazy.
Jake Haener can
2
sleep
quarterbacks
my
from
left
Fresno
nut,
State on
dude.
the same roster. How
Both
about that?
ass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
both
right.
terrible.
Well, fellas, not your best showing. I'll be honest.
Dude, if you ask me any more college ball questions, it's money, it's locks. But yeah,
I had to turn up the volume a little bit on these. Well, let's keep moving. We've talked for a lot. Let's get to the big boys. We'll start down south in the southern
down south.
and south in Weaver territory. The Georgia
Yeah.
Bulldogs are taking on the Texas Longhorns in a rematch of a week, probably, I don't know, 8 matchup that Georgia won 30-15 in Texas. Now, Texas is favored by 2.5 in the Mercedes-Benz or whatever it's called nowadays. Not the Georgia Dome. Wish it was the Georgia Dome.
Mercedes-Benz.
I wish it was that too. Well, Luke, we'll start with you, man. You're our SEC analyst.
I got the over in this game, 49.5. That game went under last game. It kind of goes the trend that like it's not that easy. But I think both teams' passing offense has gotten a lot better. I know Carson Beck kind of fell off a cliff there for a second. He's still not great. And I mean, we saw Quinn Ewers. I know they only put up 17 on Texas A&M, but we saw him make some outstanding passes. We were texting about it during the game. They're kind of really getting that going. I think that this is going to be a barn burner that both teams are going to be having to throw the ball a lot. I think neither teams are going to be able to get their run game going too well, and they're going to be forced to throw the ball a lot. It's hard to beat the same team twice, so I also lean Texas minus 2.5. That's just the way of the world. Any sports, it's hard to beat It's hard to beat that team twice, or in baseball, it's hard to beat that team a third time. So yeah, but I'm hammering the over 49.5 in this game.
I mean, I'm on the same wavelength as you. I just flip flopped. I took minus 2.5 with Texas. I feel very confident with them. They are one of the best teams in college football right now. Carson Beck, he's like Two-Face. He's almost like a Jameis Winston. You don't know what you're going to get from him. He's either going to throw for
It's so funny that last week we were like, dude, they're so overrated. Texas A&M's going to have their way with them. Oh my God. We all three. And then we're like, dude, they are one of the best teams.
It's just this year's weird. This year's weird.
It's how it goes. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
It's sports. It's how it goes.
But I'll say I think Texas wins this game, and I was leaning the over as well. I think it's going to be a crazy classic SEC chip game. It's going to be
49.5 is not a lot of points in college.
Not at all.
That
could hit in the first half if this is great. It could be 24-21 in the first half. I know that's not hitting, but that's damn near close. This game's going to be electric. I think they're both so well prepared for each other's defenses that it's just going to be an offensive game. It's going to be a gunslinging game, and that's what Texas is. They're a gunslinging team.
I'm on Texas minus 2.5 as well. I think the biggest X factor in this game is that Texas is going to be able to run the ball. I think that I got some. This is my favorite pick of the week, and this is my stat game of the week. So Weaver, cover your ears or take your headphones off because I'm about to run some numbers by you. Last time they played, Texas had 27 carries for 29 yards. That won't happen again. I would put money on it that they'll have more than 29 rushing yards this time. And I can back that up by saying that Texas's last 2 games, they had 250 rushing yards against Kentucky, and they had 240 rush yards against A&M. Georgia's last 2 games, rush yards allowed. 226 rushing yards allowed to Massachusetts at home. 260 rushing yards allowed to Georgia Tech at home. I think Texas is going to be able to run the ball. It's going to be a much different game than last time. And then when you look back at the stats of the last time they played, Carson Beck had 175 passing yards on 56% completion percentage and 0 passing touchdowns, and he threw 3 interceptions, and they won the game by 15. That's not going to happen again. It's not going to. That can't happen again. It doesn't make any sense in my head. Plus, Texas had 3 fumbles that they lost. They lost 3 fumbles. So basically, Quinn Ewers had his worst game of the year. They fumbled like crazy. They could not run the ball. It was like a different run game than they had all year. And they have the revenge factor. And they're running the ball well now. And Ewers is getting healthy and playing well, like we said. And they're favored after losing to this team already at home. So they're favored again. So they're trying to tell me, oh, here's Georgia plus money to beat a team that they already beat. it feels like everything in their mom is pointing towards Texas in this game, and so I'm on Texas. Anybody else got a comment? Luke, SEC guy.
I do not.
You
I
nailed
think
it.
it's going to be exactly. I mean, yeah, I think it's going to play out how we're saying it's going to play out. I'm gonna excited to watch it. I'm surprised for whatever I guess not too surprised it's not the late game, but usually it's the late game.
All right, well, we'll move into another game, a game that I know Luke wants to go a certain direction. I don't know if he's putting his money where his mouth is, but we're talking about the ACC chip. The Clemson Tigers roll into the ACC chip fresh off a loss? Yes, you're reading that right. They lost and they made it anyway because it wasn't an ACC game. They are 2.5-point underdogs to the SMU Mustangs. SMU 11-1. I think they're what, 8 in the rankings at this point? Maybe even 7. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Hours ago. Anybody have a suggestion on this game?
I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I have SMU minus 2.5. I think the Mustangs are a really underrated team. Clemson is Clemson, but they're coming off a really bad loss to, and I wouldn't say it's bad, but at home in that rivalry, Clemson does not deserve to be in this game. But then again, it's one of those hungry dogs runs faster kind of situations. Is that it's a little dangerous. You're playing with fire, but I'd rather take a 2.5 number with SMU. And again, championship weekend, I'm gonna bet. I'm like it's. I mean, who knows if I'm gonna have time to watch this game or not? I would hope I do, but at the same time, it makes me nervous. It's my least favorite pick of the week, I'll say. But I want them to win, and I need them to win because if Clemson gets in and South Carolina doesn't, I'm probably gonna pull my hair out and probably bomb the stadium.
Yeah, I mean,
Allegedly.
That's
I mean, a joke. It was a joke.
I'll truth bomb. I'll truth bomb the stadium, and that just
Sweet
sucks.
bomb.
Yeah.
Luke, I think you're on the right side here. I took SMU minus 2.5 as well. I like to look back at the Clemson Pitt game and the SMU Pitt game because both of these games were very, very similar, but SMU just had way more firepower and way more momentum compared to Clemson playing Pitt. That game went 24-20. Clemson barely walked out of Pitt with a win, right? SMU walks into Pitt and beats the living shit out of them. I think SMU kills Clemson here. Clemson does not deserve to be in this spot at all. I think 2.5 is safe. And this is another one where we were talking. I was fine with taking Arizona State minus 5.5. I would be fine with taking SMU minus 5.5 as well. But minus 2.5, beautiful. I'll take it. SMU has averaged, like, they score at least 30 points a game, at the very least. At 38, 38, 48, 38, 30, they can score. Clemson can't, obviously. 14 points against South.
Oh boy, fellas, we are deep in it now. I don't think we've had an episode with 2 threesomes.
Oh,
This is
No.
this is getting ugly. But I took SMU
One of
minus.
these is not gonna work.
There's no shot this works. In other words, just parlay
parlay Clemson and Iowa State.
Iowa State, yeah.
What does that give you? Plus 114. It's got the magic number. That's kind of scary. That's plus 330.
Plus 114 just means they're the underdog in a 2.5-point spread, though.
That's the magic number.
Okay, well that's what that means.
It's hit all year.
SMU, I've said it once, I've said it twice, and I'll say it a third time. They're going to be able to run the ball. That's the thing I'm going to keep harping on. Their run defense is miles better than Clemson's. And SMU has a strong passing attack that they'll be able to lean on, but I think that their run game being effective, which is something that they've not only always had this year, I think that's going to be able to open up them on the offensive side of the ball. Sorry, I'm talking faster than my mind is going. Yeah, I think they'll be able to run the ball. I think they'll be able to slow down Cade Klubnik in the passing game. And I question how motivated this Clemson team is. I understand you win, you get in, but how many times have we seen teams that lose their last game of the year and then still have a chance? This is new to everyone. So maybe I'm reading this wrong, and maybe like it makes you more motivated because, oh, you have a shot to get in. But they're licking their wounds right now. I know wounded animals run faster, but you got to stop licking your wounds first in order to be able to keep running. And I think SMU is a team that's motivated because they haven't been in a spot like this. I mean, they've been in the American, I believe, is what they were in before this, and now they get a chance to win their Power 5 conference in their first try and go to the playoff and prove that they're a team that's going to be sticking around for a while. I think that, to me, the motivation angle leans towards them as well. even beyond just the talent angle. So I like SMU in this spot as well.
They also have one of the best jerseys in the country.
Oh, so clean.
I love their Dallas jersey. They're so nice.
So clean. But we'll go to the big boy, the big daddy, the 8 o'clock game. The Penn State Nittany Lions have backdoored their way into Indianapolis. They face the number 1, 12-0 Oregon Ducks. They are catching 3.5. Over-unders at 49.5. Luke, I know you're a Southern guy, but we're talking Northern.
I got 2 picks.
We're talking Northern football. What do you got?
I've got 2
Oregon
picks.
and
I got under 50.5. I think that Oregon's going to be able to put up some numbers. I think Penn State has the potential to put up some numbers, but I think the way Penn State wins this game is on the ground. They're going to have to get their wide receivers going. We saw they got slowed up at Ohio State, but Singleton's going to have a good game. It's going to have to Warren's going to have a good game. We got to win on the ground. That clock's going to tick. And then I also took Oregon minus 3.5.
How dare you?
Yeah, right. As much as I want to believe that Penn State is not the same team that they were versus LSU, I just there's something about James Franklin in the big games. I wrestled with this. I picked Penn State this morning, and then I backed out and I picked Oregon. And then I picked Oregon. And I just think Dan Lanning and the Ducks are a different animal right now. I wouldn't say they definitely don't have the strength of schedule that Penn State has. I mean, it's eerily similar. Penn State doesn't. I mean, their quality win over OSU at the end of the day. Not quality win, sorry. Their only quality team that they played really was OSU. Same thing kind of with Oregon a little bit. They won that game, but it's so early in the season. I feel more comfortable betting Oregon minus 3.5 than I do Penn State, and I want to try to have a bet in as many games as possible this weekend. So I feel better with the Oregon minus 3.5, but I feel way more comfortable with the under 50.5.
Look, you say James Franklin in the big games. James Franklin in the Big Ten championship, 1-0. He was 3-point underdog to Wisconsin in 2016.
Small sample size.
Hey, that's a big game. That's a win as an underdog. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I talked to the boys about hedging my happiness. I might put a mega max on Oregon, but you know what? Fuck it. I'm not touching this game, obviously, but I really did. I called it right as you were saying. I think the under is in play here. Penn State's got a great defense, and Oregon, you watched their game against Ohio State. What was the ending score of that game?
32-31.
Yeah. 32-31.
I mean,
which is a lot of points.
It is a lot of points, but with Penn State, honestly, if they lose this game, it's going to be 24-13, 27-13. I don't think it's ever going to get out of hand. I think me and Sean are going to be watching this and saying, holy shit, if they score a touchdown here, we could be in this game. And then they won't. And then Oregon will turn over the ball, and they're like, holy shit, if they score a touchdown here, they'll be in the game. And then they won't. And then the same thing's going to happen for about 12 minutes straight. That's my prediction. I believe in Penn State, though. Warren has to have the game of his life beyond the game of his life. And fucking Aller better be able to throw the ball. That's all I'm saying. They can't start slow. They do this bullshit where handoff. Damn it, didn't work. Shitty RPO. Damn it, didn't work. Hey, Warren, here's the ball on 3rd and 11. Damn it, you only got 7 yards. You can't do that. How about you start with, let's try a funky play like you did against Ohio State. How you started off, holy shit, Warren got the here's a Warren play. Here's a crazy RPO. Oh, back to Warren. Okay, now we're going to run with Singleton. Okay, now we're just going to pass. Like, they need to just keep Oregon confused the entire game. You can't go back to how they just, run, RPO, Warren. Run, RPO, Warren, and hopefully it works. Because that's all they do. When they played Ohio State that first half, they were scheming up good plays until, our wide receivers can't catch passes. But I think they have a real chance here. I would love to see them win and us get the 1 seed. That would be a dream. But that's all
I don't know if you get the 1 seed, even if you win.
You have to give it to us.
It depends. I mean, if
Texas
Georgia wins, then yes, we do.
If Texas wins, they get the 1 seed.
Yeah, probably. Unless we handily beat Oregon. That's the only
You'd probably just swap. Penn State would go to the 2nd seed, and then, in my
That's
personal
bye.
opinion.
I'll take a bye, though.
But then you also argue that if SMU wins and Oregon loses, then you bump SMU up to 2 because it's like you're not going to discipline somebody who won their career. You're going to move them back, or you're not going to keep them in the same spot. You got to move them up. I don't know.
I mean, my only gripe is you beat the only undefeated team in college football.
Which would be crazy that if SMU's first year they get the second seed, which that would be insane.
Yeah, but technically,
I don't think
you're like the
SMU.
seventh
I don't
seed.
think SMU can get the second seed. I don't see a path. I honestly don't see a path.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah, that makes sense because it's the rankings and stuff. It doesn't. Make
yeah,
sense.
but still, like they would be the third. Honestly, if they win, they're the third seed, which is unbelievable.
Wait, but wouldn't they get
Right.
if
They'd be
Penn
the third
State
seed 'cause
won,
they're-
Penn State wins,
Penn State
Georgia,
would get the second.
Texas loses, and then they win?
Georgia's above SMU right now, though.
You're right.
Yeah.
SMU,
So there's
yeah.
no path to them top two, but honestly, just getting a bye is unbelievable.
Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, Luke. The run game has to be such a huge aspect for this team, and it's something that like the backs are so talented, and it feels like a team that should be able to run down your throat and just win like that. And then you see games where it's like, oh, this is the game where they're just going to explode on the ground, and it's going to be like the USC game. It's like, oh, they're just going to be able to run all over them and be more physical, and then they couldn't run the ball.
You got to win in the trenches. You have to win in the
100%,
trenches in this game,
100%.
too. Even on the offensive side.
Oh no, it's like the trenches. Like you can't.
You can't give Dylan Gabriel time.
Yeah.
Like you cannot give him any time. If he has more than 3 seconds in the pocket, he's gonna find his because their wide receivers are elite at Oregon. So
Yeah.
he's gonna have time to throw the ball wherever he wants.
No, it's all about. Honestly, it's all about if Carter can get to the quarterback because these other guys are. He's a different animal compared to the other guys they have on the other side of the ball. If they can figure out a way to scheme him out of the game, we might be in trouble. We'll have someone else has to step up. Whether it's Durant on the interior, whether it's DDS on the other side, whether it's even like an Amin Vanover, who's our third pass rusher, somebody has to get in the trenches and get to the quarterback. And then you got to be. That's really. I talked about it a lot, but like when you get to these important games with these powerhouse teams, you got to be able to run the ball, man. You cannot be one-sided on the offensive side of the ball. It just doesn't work against these high-level programs because they can take away one side, and if your other aspect of your offense is not strong enough, you're not going to win these games. It doesn't happen. Like Oregon can. We've seen them win games. Like the Ohio State game, they outshot them. Like both teams took their shots over and over and over again. They just outshot them with the passing game. Then you see them go play Wisconsin, and it's like, holy shit, they can't throw the ball. I don't know what's happening. It's too cold. They played too many games in a row. It's on the road in the Big Ten. They can't throw the ball, and they outmuscled Wisconsin, which is a team that you would think maybe this is a team that can outmuscle them because that's what they're all farmer kids from Wisconsin who just beef up and push you back, and they outmuscled them. It's all about the trenches. It's all about I think the run game is the X factor, and I think the pass rush is the X factor. Because if you can't get after Gabriel, I don't think we're talented enough to keep up with their wide receivers for an entire game. So
This is real life, folks.
Just
let's get to our dog of the weeks, right? And let's wrap this present up and put it under the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
I will say one thing though, real quick about any other picks. I think why is Ohio only +3 against Miami of Ohio? I see Miami of Ohio like -7.5.
I'm not gonna act like I know anything about that game because I don't.
Ohio's ass.
I don't watch enough MAC.
I got a parlay that I'm going to put out on Twitter. I'm almost done with it, but it's pretty cheeky. Just stay with that. But dog of the week, what are we feeling, boys?
Anybody?
I got mine.
Yeah, go ahead, Luke. You go first.
I got UNLV +146.
Yeah.
I think if any team's really going to have the best chance to take it, it's going to be them. I mean, it could be like Penn State or somebody, but at the end of the day, I like the value for this better, and I think it's just a little bit more of a winnable game against a lesser of an opponent.
Yeah. Sam?
I almost did it, but I don't want to be invested like that in that game. I took Army +170 against Tulane only because I had to. I really don't like any of the slots or on a slate this week. I just don't think there's anything interesting enough to where I want to put my money on. I'm not gonna put my money on Georgia and Carson Beck. I just took Army +170 against Tulane. I don't even know what to say. I didn't do a lot of research. I don't really give a shit about this game. I just wanted to give you guys a dog of the week pick. I do think Army is a little undervalued at 4.5. I would have put this game closer to 2.5 for a pick 'em, honestly. Wait, we got to salute the troops.
You
Sorry.
gonna pick like Marshall? Oh, salute the troops.
Honestly, like Marshall would kind of be the closest thing I would have to my. I mean, honestly, the underdog that I like the most. No, I'm not even gonna say that.
Is Penn State?
No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that.
There's no way Oregon loses. There's no shot.
I'll say Marshall. I'll say Marshall. I say Marshall. I mean, obviously we've talked about it, and we've gone pretty much straight favorites across the board because it just kind of feels like they're the better spots. But I'll go Marshall. Why not?
There's no way Oregon loses that game.
The Thundering Herd. The Herd. We are Marshall. We are Penn State. Why not?
There's no way Penn State loses another big game.
Why the fuck would you say
There's
that?
no way Auburn. There's no way Auburn's. There's no way Auburn
good
wins
ne-
wins
bad
their
next
bowl
year.
game. There's no way Auburn wins their bowl game.
But there's no
We're
way.
not even in a bowl game. We had 5 wins.
Yeah, I know. That was the joke, bud.
There's no way Auburn.
All right, I'm gonna
scores
give my
that.
I'm gonna give my quick
Yeah.
poem.
All right,
as a
we
goodbye to
got
Peyton
through
Thorne.
everything
This is
interesting,
fucking-
so now Weaver could talk about his shitty football team.
I'm gonna give it just two quick 2 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Thank God the Peyton Thorne era is over. Here's my poem. You ready? Roses are red, violets are blue. Thank God the Thorne era is dead. I bid him adieu. He can't make a pass. He can't make a throw. He was so ass. What a shit show. I know what you think. What the fuck, Hugh Freeze? Peyton Thorne really stinks. Gone with the wind. One might call it a breeze. There was a great QB market, and we did nothing. Time to work at Target. Freeze better be spending. So long to Jaquez. We will miss you so. You should run for Prez. So sad to see you go. That is my synopsis of the season. Jaquez and KLS are the really two shining stars. Hugh Freeze came out before the Iron Bowl game and was kind of like, I'm sorry to you seniors that aren't going to be here when this team is a successful team. Not jinxing us, but that's just what he said. And it's true. Like, we had a lot of good players. Eugene Asante, Jaquez Hunter, KLS. I know we only had him for a year, but he was great. Rivaldo Fairweather. Like, just a lot of really senior guys that aren't going to be on this team if we do have some success in the near future. But my God, I will never forgive Hugh Freeze for sticking with Peyton Thorne and thinking he's the guy. My God. Out of all the people we could have gotten in the portal, right now it's looking like we're going after like Miller Moss, or we're going after the quarterback from Washington State or the guy from Liberty. So we'll see how it goes. But it was fun. On to basketball season. Number 2 team in the country. Got a big game against Duke on Wednesday night. That's a huge game.
I got two things to say. First of all, never forget Luke read off the stats of Peyton Thorne and Jalen Milroe before the game and acted like Peyton Thorne was better than Jalen Milroe.
Yep.
It's also so fitting that Peyton Thorne's last pass as an Auburn Tiger was an interception. Like, that's just great. I love that.
My second point is a question. How many wins does Hugh Freeze need to keep his job next year?
9.
Let's look at our schedule.
It shouldn't matter on the schedule. It should be 9.
Okay. This is no in a specific order because they don't have the weeks laid out yet. We play at Baylor, Ball State, South Alabama, Mercer. Those are our cupcakes. It's pretty much the same schedule, just flipped locations. At Arkansas, Alabama at home, Georgia at home, Kentucky at home, Missouri at home, Oklahoma away, A&M away, Vanderbilt away. I'm going to say we're probably going to lose to Baylor. I just don't know what we're going to have with our quarterback. At Baylor.
You guys,
I wanna say we're gonna
you
win
guys are like your average recruit class is like an A- right now. It's incredible.
We're like the 4th ranked recruiting class.
It's
right now.
incredible.
I know.
There's no
That's
way.
what Hugh Freeze does. He's always been a great recruiter. He just fucking.
There's no way
wrong
Auburn's bad
sometimes.
next year. There's no way you guys don't win at least 8 games next year.
Ball 1, 2,
There's no way you guys miss a
3.
bowl game again.
Arkansas, I would think we would beat Arkansas. Like, I pray to God we'd beat Arkansas. 4, Kentucky's ass. 5. I don't know what Missouri's going to have in them next year, but we should have won that game, and I would think we're going to be better next year. 6. Vandy, I would think we can win 7. He's going to have 7 wins, 8 wins. He's got to have 8 wins to keep his job because they're going to expect a Baylor win. Those 3, they're going to accept losses to probably A&M. Oklahoma's going to probably be back on track. Alabama and Georgia. Hopefully we can get one of those 4 as kind of like a goofy little thing. But 8-4 is the expectation.
So 7 and 5, you dump
myself.
them, or is it just a failure?
Or is it just Peyton Thorne's fault?
It shouldn't be. I think a lot of it is on Peyton Thorne. Like, so much of it's on Peyton Thorne. It's like we had Again, Cam Coleman's going to be our wide receiver 1 next year. He's a baller. He's going to be a beast. Our running backs are damn good. We need to beef up the offensive line. And defensive is still great. Kendrick Falk's a monster. Our secondary is really good. So I don't know. So I think 7 wins. It's on the fringe. He's on the hot seat. 8 wins secures him a job. If we go 6-6 again, he's gone.
Yeah. Well, if it makes you feel better, Isaiah Bond transferred to Auburn in my road to glory in the second year, so maybe that'll happen.
I had Caleb Downs transfer to my second year full time. Yeah, follow us on Twitter, Not So Hot Takes 2_. Subscribe to the YouTube Not So Hot Takes, and takes is 2 S's. Links and everything will be provided in the Spotify, so go check those out and check out our personal socials. So you can get the links there as well.
All right. Well, on that note, thanks for listening. If you're rooting for Oregon this week, I hate you and everything that you stand for, and we are.
We are. Penn State. Go State, baby.